There are shadows surrounding me.
This is something else you can do with the fallacy model.
Okay.
There should be 25. Okay. What are the odds that they would fall exactly as they did?
Holy crap. I'm not good enough at math to figure that out. Actually, do you just mean what numbers are up or their actual positions?
The position counts. So it gets huge.
Yeah.
And so there's just astronomically huge odds, and you can just add more die and make it just more and more incredible. So the question here is, does the reality that there are very low odds that they would have fallen exactly as they did indicate that the outcome was impacted in some way by an intelligent designer?
No. There sure are a lot of 5s out there.
3s I'm seeing too. I'm thinking there must be something to that, right? I mean, otherwise, how could all those 5s have come up?
Yahtzee.
There you go. If I accept that the odds of the die falling as they did are too great to have been random, does that impart any more purpose or meaning to my existence than I had before?
No.
If it does so only in my mind, which it would, because there's no real reason it would, wasn't the capacity to overlay meaning onto an external reality always within my head, whether or not the die land without aid from a supernatural intelligence? So in other words, if I interpret this to be the product of a supernatural intelligence that created it all, still whatever it means to me is whatever it means to me. And my life still has whatever meaning I impart. And if I find out later that it really was just random roll of dice, that there was no intelligence behind the outcome, does that mean I can't have meaning now? If I learn that it wasn't an intelligently designed roll, that means I created the meaning previously in my own head.
And yet the meaning didn't change.
Well, it can change, but the point is,
you're the one
I made up the meaning
Yes.
before. So whatever meaning I thought I had was really out of my own mind, even when I believed there was an intelligent designer behind it. If there really isn't, I'm making that meaning up. And so after I find out there isn't one, my life can have just as much made-up meaning now as it did before.
Yes.
There's no reason that my life must be stripped of meaning because that aspect of my view changes. Anyway, this is part of what you were talking about before, and that's why I brought up templates.
Yeah.
About the card template. If you weren't familiar with the game of poker and someone dealt you that royal flush, it would be meaningless to you. You might see the pattern of hearts, or it just depends. If you've never seen cards before and you don't know what they look like, it's the first time you've looked at a deck of cards, you don't even know that there aren't hearts. You just got a handful of hearts. According to what you know, it could all be hearts. The whole deck could be hearts.
Right.
So you have no idea about the meaning behind it unless you already have a preconceived template of what is a good poker hand. And so if we had a template laid out on the table, and then these die hit, and it was exactly like the template on our first roll, that would be pretty amazing.
It'd be whatever the odds are.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now we got a template.
But it's still possible.
Yes, it's possible, but we have a template.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying, what would be the odds of rolling this? And then we roll it. It's like, holy crap, we really rolled that. I would be blown away if I was able to roll that on a first try. But the thing that gets me is, without a template, there's no, the full house is not significant if there's no full house template in your brain. And if there's no template laying on this table to match these die, any roll is just as good as any other roll. It's just as many odds to roll this pattern as to roll this pattern. There's nothing significant about one pattern or the other except in your brain.
Right.
And that is something I come across a lot with ID, is the idea that because things rolled out the way they did, suddenly that means there's a God.
The interesting thing about this is you can actually use this for a slightly different example, and I promise we're going to get the call soon because there's only like 20 minutes left in the show. But pick a number from 1 to 6.
7.
What? 7?
2.
2. We're going to roll all 2s. All right. 2, 2, 2, 2.
Yeah, there's one.
2,
There's a couple.
2. I beat the odds for a number of 2s. Now I'm going to take everything that's not a 2.
Is there 7?
There are 6 of them.
No, there's 7.
No, there's 6.
There's 7.
All right, there's 7. He predicted the number of 2s without even
I'm
realizing it.
totally wigging it.
So now we roll again, and there's, well, look at this.
Wow.
I'm beating the odds really well. There's 2, 2, and there's
One over
another
here.
2, and another 2, and look at all the 6s in there.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like 8 6s in that little. All right, so now we're getting closer to being all 2s. So that's 2 rolls.
Yeah, yeah. Doing good.
Uh-oh. 2, 2, 2. That's 3 rolls. And you can keep doing this. And hopefully everybody watching can see. That's a 2 and a 2. That it won't take entirely too many rolls by this progressive system to get to the point where all of these dice are 2s.
There's
Wow,
a
look
couple
at this. 1,
2s.
2. There's another one. We are down to just 5 dice.
Yeah.
That's all, you know, it's what,
Yeah, yeah.
is that 5 rolls or 6 rolls? It's not a perfect analogy or no
got
no
nothing there.
2s. And I'm not going to roll these forever because it's
Okay,
noisy.
but you get the idea.
Yeah, that's the point.
Eventually
it's not a
you'll roll all
perfect analogy
2s.
the way evolution works, but it's kind of close because it's not like many people would provide a caricature of evolution. Oh, I think this thing just spontaneously happened. That's not it. I kept the good traits. I kept
Right.
these particular things
Right.
and re-rolled
Okay.
the others, and some of them come up 2s. I
Well-
might even
well,
have
wait
grabbed
a
some
second.
2s with them.
What this is the plane goes down and
that's 6.
200 people die, but a baby survived.
Yeah.
And so the baby survived, and so, wow, God is awesome. But the 100 and, 250 people or whatever that died, you just ignore those. God had nothing to do with that. He just saved the baby. But those dead people, that's what happens. The thing here now is we're going to take one, and I'll hurry this up because it doesn't take too long. And we're going to take, which one had the supernatural die?
The one by the closest to the mug.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we're going to take the supernatural transcendent die, and everyone in this room is going to think really hard to ask the supernatural transcendent die to influence the roll of this dice.
Okay.
I got one die in my hand, and you're going to pick a number, and we're going to see if the transcendent die do it.
2.
Okay.
I almost said 3.
Now,
Does it
wait a
count? 'Cause
second.
3 was the first thing I thought of. Maybe
Well,
it heard me
let's
before.
see. According to this, if I don't get the desired outcome, it's not really evidence that it didn't work. It simply means that the transcendent die know better than we do what we should have rolled.
Well, yeah.
And-
Or it could have been that it heard what I was thinking.
And
before.
also, I can't test or control what the supernatural die actually do. They're kind of, they have their own agenda.
Let
And
me
they
ask it again.
Okay, yeah, you gotta, sometimes you have to
Please, supernatural die. Give
Be
me
really
Give me a
contrite.
5.
tell it that you're not worthy.
I humble myself before your jarredness.
Oh, no.
6.
You're-
He won up. He gave me more than I asked for. It's a miracle.
Now, wait a second. You're not being, I'm not
You don't
feeling
think I'm
the love.
sincere?
I think,
Here.
come on. Call it glorious and,
You
know.
are the hottest transcendent die ever.
That's what it took. It's female. It's a goddess.
You have to flatter it.
It's
which
a
curiously
goddess.
seems to be what happens
Okay.
with a lot of religions. You have
Right.
to get into this sycophantic.
So that's the thing. If you really, really want it, and it really is what's best for you, and you keep asking the transcendent die, you will get the thing that's best. It might not be what you think, and it might take a couple of, attempts, and you might have to ask and ask, but you'll get what you're asking for if it's the right thing for you. If it's not, you won't.
There are shadows around